All right, freelancers, welcome back. We're doing a showcase today, gear showcase today of on the Ranger. As you can see, there's a bunch of people in here. I actually had to reposition myself several times because this Colossus just kept running straight up to me. All about showing off suits, though. It's kind of what the game's all about. Oh, and they left before I could even say anything. Okay. Oh no, they just changed out. Oh, nice. That's a cool looking interceptor. I haven't seen that vinyl before. Huh. Okay. Well, we'll continue with the showcasing and head out to GM1. Alright, free play. We'll head out to Tarsus. No consumables. We'll switch back to GM1. There we go.
Systems are good. Analyzing incoming signals for unusual markers.
Keep me updated.
Alright. Just doing a little warm up. Okay, so, hey, harvest. I will never pass up an opportunity for some harvesting. Okay, let's check out the map real quick. So somebody's over here. We will give them a second to fly by. I think they're clearing out. There's some enemies that usually spawn up over here, so we'll kind of give them a chance to clear them out. I don't think they're going to Necropolis. We'll head over there and just hang out. Ooh, looks like there's an event over here too. Yep, there is. Ooh, okay. Let's back out of that. I'm not trying to aggro those guys. Okay, so we'll talk about what we're going over. So we're with the Ranger, and we're going to go over tactical onslaught, which is another one of the other assault launchers. Tactical onslaught. It's a primer, and then it primes with acid, or it has an acid damage effect. So it's an upgraded venom dart. Acid darts that seek a single target, and then the venom darts permanently gain, or the masterwork perk is venom darts permanently gain an extra charge. So typically, I believe these have 3 charges, and then it has an additional charge, putting it at 4. I've got a lot of gear recharge on this one. Specifically because of the way I use it with this build. I call it my alt build, and it's not really meant for high damage alts. I'm gonna back out of this a little bit because she's screaming at me. So I don't use this build specifically for damage on its own, or alt damage, but I will use it. Let me turn the volume down a little bit. It's really loud. I'm afraid on your end you're probably hearing a lot of it too. Oh, I'm getting pinged. It's GM1 though. Okay. Sorry about that. So with this build, I should be safe here. So with this build, it does about 1,000 damage per dart. So when you shoot a volley, it has 3 in one volley. So I'll be doing approximately, depending on my rolls for damage, and my overall damage, I'll be doing about 3,000 damage per volley. It has a recharge of 3, which isn't too bad. You get your volleys, or you get your recharge back pretty quickly because of that. And it has acid effect of 20, which means it should prime targets almost immediately unless they're acid resistant. But I like to pair this with the last argument grenade because, like I said, this is my alt build. So basically all I'm doing is spamming tactical onslaught to prime them, and then I spam my frag grenades or my last argument grenades to detonate the combo, which gives me a lot of alt charges. And like I said, this build, it's not specifically like a 1 million rocket alt build. It's a more of a just spamming my alt, like getting my alt back really, really quickly. Because when you get your alt, once you activate it, you instantly recharge all your health and all your shield. All right. We'll head over. Is that no? Okay. Oh, but that one is. All right. Real quick. Oh, nice gear. Nice loot. Hopefully they're not following me in. They look like they're following me. No, they're not. Okay. All right, we'll head in. All right. Hopefully we find a salvage down here. My thoughts are, I think it's going to do really well against enemy types. Or in GM1, I think it's going to take them down, even though it's not meant to be. Yes, there's a salvage. Even though it's not really meant for DPS, I think it'll do really well. So we'll give them a second to load in. So I'll just go down there while once they all load in, and I'm just gonna kind of shoot them. But you can see from its pattern too. Let me jump back in here to show you the description of it. So here we go. So it's an acid dart that seeks out a single target. So this is the interesting thing about it that's kind of different than recurring vengeance. So with recurring vengeance, it kind of did this thing where it like would sway as it went to its target. So you wanted to be a little bit closer to the target when you shot it than further away, because the further away you were, the less accurate it was. With these, it seems like they're very accurate, even though they're like shooting out and kind of like spazzing before they hit the area that your reticle's on. They typically hit them really well. You can actually be like offset and it'll still hit the enemy. So it seems like it's got really good tracking. We'll go down there and showcase it real quick. So really, really good tracking. Not a lot of damage, but it pretty much instantly primed them. It seemed like it took about 4 volleys. And then, as we can see, when you're up close, it'll hit them. But what I want to showcase is, if you're kind of close to them, it'll get them too. Let me try to get somewhere where I'm not getting peppered. No, it did not. It seems like out of all the assault launchers to be one of the more accurate ones, because it does inherently have tracking on it, so you don't have to be perfect with your shots. You can be offset from them, and as you can see, it can potentially hit others. Let me get over here, have some fire. Oh, wow. So I do have one of these that has a lot of deep... So against shields, though, it only seems to be doing 500 damage, a little over 500, and I think there's a cap to it. We'll switch in GM1, but it does really good damage against armor or enemies as well. So once you get their shield down, it'll still do pretty decent damage. But against shields, it seems like there's almost a cap from what I've seen. We'll switch over to my higher DPS one when we get in GM3 and test it there. But it doesn't seem like it's very viable against shields. Unless it's a very weakly or a weak shielded enemy. Because this is GM1, mind you, so if I'm having trouble taking down their shield in GM1, then it's really not going to do very much against a shield in GM3, where they'll be a lot tankier. And then because it's not a detonator... Ooh, he dodged it. Because it's not a detonator, it's not super punishing missing with it. So, like, with a detonator, typically you don't have a whole lot of charges, so you kind of have to hit your target. With this, because it already has an additional volley, because of the Masterwork perk, missing isn't so punishing. Plus, there's a few different things I'll go over about it as far as like its utilization when we talk about efficiency towards the end. Alright, let's see how we do against the storm. So yeah, it's doing the exact same damage against the storm shield. It is taking it down, but I think that's more attributed to the fact that it's GM3. And it almost instantly primes them. And even then, while I was in like motion, while dashing, and they were kind of like swinging around, I was able to hit them. And I'm by no means an aim assist god, or sorry, not aim assist god, like a kind of like a 360 no scoper. That's not me. I didn't even hit anybody there, so. Well, you can do it apparently, but I think that's because the aim assist that Tactical Onslaught kind of inherently has on it. It kind of tracks to the enemies. Tracks really well. Almost, in my opinion, better than the tracking missile, Recurring Vengeance. Yeah, I'm just taking them. So I've actually ran out of charge right now, and I have a lot. I think I got like 90 plus charges on this. So almost took down an entire group of enemies just with Tactical Onslaught and GM1. Alright, let's see how it does. I was going to do a no-scope, but... Alright, I'm done with that. Let's see how it does against armored. So actually, this is pretty interesting. It's doing about 1,600 to 2,000 damage on armored. Let's see if we can find another... So on the normal outlaw, it does about 1,000 to 1,300. Where on these guys, it's doing 16 to 2,000. So it's actually doing more damage to armored enemies than it's doing against regular enemy types. So that's something to kind of think about as far as damage numbers go. And that's actually just the way acid works in general. So against shields, what I'm seeing is it seems to be weaker. Its damage output, but against armor, it seems to be stronger or do more damage. So from what I understand, there's actually a multiplier on a lot of these elemental gear pieces. So acid has a negative modifier, which means it does less damage to shields, and then it has a positive modifier against armor. So let me clear out one more of these guys. So I'll show you right here on this shield. So you see how it's not doing a lot of damage? It's actually doing half damage against the shield. And then it does about 1,000 on normal red health bars. And we'll show you when we get back to the ranger. I think the ranger will really showcase off, kind of show off how that's effective. We'll go ahead and take down this elementalist. Yeah, so it's a lot of work to get their shield down with this, to the point where I'm almost running out of charges. But once I've got them kind of under the effects of the primer, of acid primer, it seems to be really receptive. Okay, so yeah, I'm seeing 549 for a volley on every single enemy type that has a shield. So I'm gonna try and take their shield down. Okay. Yep, they're doing their ult. And then, as you can see, they're doing 1,600 damage to them as well. The exact same damage numbers to them that it was doing to the armored gunners. So I think at GM3 we can kind of make some predictions. I'll go ahead and finish this guy off real quick. I'll finish off the ranger real quick. Okay. Alright, so let's have a little bit of talk before we, or kind of go over what we were seeing there. So this is something that's interesting about acid and a lot of the elements in this game where they have their effects. So typically with frost, it'll freeze enemies, but it does no damage, typically. And then with fire, it kind of works the same way as it does a modifier against health, but not specifically like armored versus normal enemies. It just does a modifier of once you set them on fire and prime them, that it has a modifier there to do more damage for combos. Where with acid, let's talk about electric. So electric is actually really good at, for the most part, taking down shields really quickly. It seems like the shock mace doesn't actually do that, and I'm not sure why specifically, because I know I can show you too later on when we go through it. When I hit enemies with shields with my shock mace, it doesn't seem to do anything to their health. If they're electric, elementalist, and then but normally it'll take the shields down really quickly. Where with acid, it doesn't seem to do hardly anything against their shields. However, it seems to be really effective against armored enemies. So we'll go back out, reload into GM3, and we'll test it out some more. And free play. And I should not have picked up a lot of gear here, so it should be pretty quick. Alright, and expedition. play another mission. Yeah, I didn't have any loot. Free play. Start back at Fort Tarsus. No consumables. Switch over to GM3. We'll get that awesome laugh. And then we'll head in.
Back in the field. Starting my pass on incoming reports for any unusual markers.
Sounds good.
Okay. Nice. Pretty good warm up. These guys shouldn't get... Okay, nope, they did get aggro. They're normally pretty peaceful, but I guess I aggroed them. Alright, we'll just head out over here. We'll take a look at the map, make sure nobody's over there. Good, no witness, so we'll shoot over real quick. Alright, let's see if we get lucky when we get some brutes down here. We can test it out on them in GM3. Nice. Brutes down here. Okay, so the way I anticipate this will work is I anticipate because they don't have shields, it's going to hit them pretty much in even though there is... Okay, so they are technically acid types of brutes, so they should be resistant to acid. However, because of the acid effect that Tactical Onslaught has, it's like an effect of 20, it should actually prime them with acid almost immediately, if not on like a second volley. So we'll test it out. Because they're armored, I expect it to do pretty good damage. Yeah, so they're instantly... So yeah, we're seeing pretty much both. They're instantly under the effects of acid. Ooh, they hit me. Now I'm under the effects of acid. And... and they're taking a lot more damage, or what I'm perceiving as a lot of damage. We didn't really have a benchmark for without damage, but we already know that because of what we were seeing in the dungeon GM1, that it did do quite a bit. However, the thing you need to consider is because we're in GM3, like I'd pretty much be at the point where I would have exhausted my my volleys, my charges that I have on this, and they're not even one of them is at half health yet. So the way you typically use this is you just throw a detonator in and deal with them like that. You know, apply acid effect and then detonate, and that usually takes weaker enemies like them down. All right, so we'll come down here, see if oh, there's some minerals, but I don't want minerals. Okay, well, unlucky. Usually there's a compound out there. So I'm gonna go ahead like normal GM3. I'm gonna go in and kind of clear the area out and just take care of a lot of the enemy types after I kind of showcase how it works against the smaller enemies. Oh, is it gonna hit me? Oh, whew. Completely missed. Oh no! Too late. Gotta love them. All right, so while they spawn in, I'm kind of gonna go over this. So. I'll go ahead and showcase it against GM3 outlaws, like their grunts and how effective it is. I still expect it to prime them right away because they're not resistant at all. As far as damage wise, I think it's going to do a lot less damage, similar to what we were seeing with the brutes. But once we kind of get that kind of example kind of shown, I'll go ahead and just wipe them out with the build I've got, just kind of showcase how I use Tactical Onslaught in my builds. So instantly primes them, and just like we thought. Yeah, not a lot of damage, so detonate them and then move on to somebody else. Oh, that's an aid. So it does miss a little bit, but there's 3 volleys, so as far as like the acid effect, you're almost guaranteed to hit them unless it's like really far off. And even then you can see it try to curve in a little bit. So I'm pretty much exhausting. I've exhausted my charges, which are a decent amount. So it's not enough to put down one grunt on its own. Not with this one. I do have one that's more DPS specific. And then after I get rid of a lot of these grunts, I can kind of show you that one. Just so you have another pool of information to pull from. And it's doing the exact same against shields. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up here real quick. I will... Ooh, I need to get somewhere safe because I'm going to switch gear real quick. Alright, we should get back here. Alright. So jump in here, give it a second to load in. Okay. Assault launcher, and then here's my damage one. So the one I've got right here has got a bunch of charges, but we're going to switch over to this one that's got a lot more damage. Oh no. Luckily no one's there. Okay, so damage-wise, it's doing almost 4 times as much damage, but it's still not enough. Not enough to justify using it, because now if you look, I only have 4 charges. So let's test it out against shields. So it actually is doing a lot more damage against shields. So the modifier, as far as the rolls, do actually affect what it's doing. So that's good to know. There's not just a sustained cap, but it's still doing a lot less. So where this one is doing 2,000 against a shield, it's doing about 4,000 against the enemy to 5,000. So yeah, that's actually good to know. I was kind of curious about that. I don't usually use this one other than the one build I have it on already, which is more of a melee build. And typically, at that point, I've already gotten their shields down. Alright, I think a few more, and then the armored enemy types will come in. Actually, let's test it against their shield as well. So, yep, same kind of numbers there. So there is no cap. That's what I was kind of under the assumption of, is that there was a cap against shield, but there's not. It's just based on whatever damage rolls you have. Although I have a lot of damage on here, so I highly doubt, unless you have a lot of damage on yours. I think I might have max damage because I've got 250 in one of those slots and then 100 in the other one. So I've got 350 extra gear roll on just this one. However, like I said, I've got 4 charges now, and the recharge rate on this is about 3. So unfortunately, I got a lot. Ooh, I got froze. I thought I would have missed that. I've got a lot of recharge on this build, so I do get my charges back really quickly. However, you don't have a build that's focused on a recharge, you're probably not going to get it back that quick. So we'll just go ahead and clear out these guys real quick, and then we'll hopefully have some armored enemies to go up against, because I'm really interested. Kind of want to switch back just to showcase the difference of what it does against all these shielded enemies. I didn't even take down the shields all the way. That sucks. Alright, let's back out a little bit, get some spacing before I get frozen again. I think this is an armor. Yes, so this is an armored enemy. So it does about 6,000. Whereas it's closer to 7 actually. Well, no, I'm only seeing about 6,000. Let's see if we can find a non. Okay, so it's done 6,000 against armored and 4,000 against non-armored enemies. So you're getting about 1,000 damage hike per dart from that one. So I'm going to try and go hide over here real quick and switch back to the one with a lot more charges. Because I don't want to give you, I don't want to mislead you on the damage it does. This one has a lot of damage on it. So it's a little bit of a biased review. I typically see ones that have a lot more charges on them. I'm going to have to let it charge up real quick. So here's the main way that I use this, and I think it works the best. But I mean, it depends on your build and what you're using it for. It feels like to me that this is a really good primer. It's not really meant for DPS. I do have it on a build meant for DPS, but it's a very specific build, and you just have to have very certain roles for it to be usable. Where with this one in general, even with 4 charges, it's still not bad. As you can see, it took me, like, it instantly, like, right there on a small grunt, one volley on its own would, ooh, I'm on fire, that's not good. One volley instantly primes a target. And they all seem to be like that, even ones that are resistant. So it's really good at priming, not so good at DPS. We'll go ahead and I'm going to take down this elemental real quick. Ooh, that's not good. So let me take this one down real quick, and then we'll kind of go over what just happened, because you might not have seen that or been able to see what was going on. Take him down. Okay, he did. Okay, I need to get some spacing here. I'm about to get messed up hard. Okay, so the Gravedigger has a, it's like a fire effect weapon. If you see, I'm not doing anything to their shield. So this is kind of what I'm talking about with like elemental specific type. Did they just change? They changed to electric. Huh. Okay, so let me show you with electric, because my mace is electric. Let me show you this. Oh, whoops, they're way too high. Okay, I gotta back out. That was kind of wonky. Let's see if I can do it again. Yeah, because they're electric now, I can't do electric damage. So if you noticed before, I was hitting them with this, and it was because it's fire-based, and they were fire-based, so they had to resist to it. I've never seen an acid elementalist, so that's why I think this is a really good primer. Even though it won't take their shield down, I mean, I can now, but because you're never going to see one, it's really good at... Oh, I whiffed that one. So, ooh, wow. Let me try and get their shield down again. See if I can... Gotta be a little bit closer with those nades when I'm lobbing them, unfortunately. Okay, let's back out, get our shield back from the... And some charges too, and let the ranger get their shield back, so it can be a little bit more of a fair fight. So, yeah. You don't run into too many acid-specific enemies. However, the monitor in one of his phases, in the Heart of Rage, does go to the acidic pool area. They are acid there, so this will be completely useless against them in that area. Other than that, I can't really think of too many other enemy types that are super resistant to acid. Scorpions will be. The brutes typically are, but you can see we could still kind of prime them, so... Alright, we'll go ahead and do some work on the ranger. So you're seeing that kind of like 500. Not a cap though, we already proved it's not a cap. It just does less against shields in general than it does against hell. Alright, so we'll go ahead and take down their shield. Let's see what it does against their armor. So yeah, 16 to 18? 16 to 2000, which is what we were seeing against the armored grunts. So the gunners we have in here, they were getting the exact same when we were using the non-damage modified version of this, of Tactical Onslaught. So it's doing damage, but because this is not a DPS or heavy damage build, ooh, they did get me though. It's doing damage, good damage numbers. Unfortunately, because it's GM3, they're very tanky, so it's really not that good of DPS. Now, when we combo it, see how it does a really good chunk of damage with the combo. Not just because it's a combo, but because there's that modifier on it from acid damage on its own. Especially against armor types. So, I would imagine if we were going up against let me get out of here real quick. If I went up against a non-armored enemy type, I probably wouldn't see the same numbers as far as combo damage goes. Actually, let's test this out. Let's see if I can electric. So they're electric right now, and we actually saw less than 200,000, where before we were seeing over 230,000. I'm just gonna finish them off with the onslaught. But you see how they barely got any health left, and it took me 4 volleys, which potentially could have been all the volleys you would have had. Okay, so let's come up here and kind of discuss what we saw. So if you get one with a lot of damage on it, it can be used as DPS, but there's going to be a lot of better options out there still then, even if you've got like a god roll on it. As far as charges, having a lot of charges is very viable and very useful, just because here's the thing about this animation. Animations play a lot of part in this game. So with the Spark Dash that the Interceptor has, its downside is when you use it in the animation, they do like this charge up phase of where they're just sitting there charging, and then they do a phase of where they go through a spin, a travel to the, it's quick, but they do like this, they dash pretty much with a spin to the enemy type, and then once they get to the enemy type, they actually do a kick, like a backflip kind of kick on them. So that's kind of a lot going on in between, and that's a detonator. So this is a primer, and because it's quick, it's very efficient. Or because there's not really a downside to just spamming it, where with other abilities that have long charge ups animations, It's kind of it could really screw you over. So we'll go ahead and check the boxes on this one. Is it efficient? I believe it's very efficient, just because, like we just talked about, the animation is quick. It seemed to primer every enemy type we went up against instantly. I don't remember seeing one enemy type that I couldn't instantly prime. And then because it's acid damage, or it puts them under the effects of acid, there's a multiplier. The only issue you're going to have with this is when you're going up against shielded enemies. But if you're using this the way that I believe it's intended, you're not going to be using this against shields. You're just going to be using this to prime an unshielded enemy and then, like, detonate. And because, like I was talking about with the acid, because it has that modifier against armored enemies and just enemies in general, it increases the damage of the combo. So where with that ranger, for example, we put them under we primed them with an electric, and then we threw the last argument at them to get a combo. It was like around 150,000 damage. Not a combo build, by the way, not specifically a combo build. In case you're looking at my numbers going rookie numbers, yes, they are rookie numbers. That's not the intent of this build. But when we hit them with acid and then threw the last argument at them, we got almost 240,000 damage. So almost a hike of 100,000 damage. Between electric effect and acid effect. And as you can see, there's a bit of an animation here with the wind up of using the mace, the shock mace for electric. Whereas with this, it's quick. And we did a no scope. It's possible. If that's your thing, I would definitely give it a shot. So it's definitely efficient. Is it viable? Well, I'm using this in two different builds I have. One is this build, which is getting my ult back really, really quickly and doing a lot of combos. And then the other build is like a melee build, so I have two primers, and then I use the Rampager, the other version of the melee, the other version of the mace, to detonate combos. So I've got it in two different builds, which to me seems very viable. But I think it's going to depend on your build and your roles. And then, is it fun? Well, yeah, I think it's fun because it's super easy to use. It doesn't take a lot of work to get off, to actually get the targets primed, whereas with Venomous Blaze, you have to hit them with 3 consecutive hits before they will prime. Granted, it's not really a primer, but that's what I'm saying is what makes it so fun is it's already a primer. It's already doing that on its own. So I definitely think it's fun. Also because you can kind of just go back and forth. Prime, detonate. Prime, detonate. Prime, detonate. You don't have to necessarily, kind of like position yourself to an area, wait for it to recharge, use it, and then wait for the perfect moment to launch whatever. You can kind of just use it instantly and just spam it. I'm going to wrap this video up with saying that I think it's a good buy. I recommend getting one for sure. If it comes into the store, I'd recommend, if you don't have one, go ahead and buy one. And then I wouldn't focus too much on the rolls because it has 4 charges automatically. And then once you have it, because they usually stay in the store for about a week, once you have it, kind of utilize it, see how you like it, and see if you want to make a specific build around it. And then if you want to try and take a shot at throwing some coin down to get better rolls, definitely go for it. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with this. I see a lot of people using it in a lot of different builds. I see a lot of Rangers using this in general. And there's a lot of options with it as well. So I think I'm going to end the video there. But as usual, if you guys want to see my melee build with it and see how I make it viable as a damage one, over like charges, which I kind of showed a little bit, but just kind of like different ways you can use it. Or if you think I was not actually using it there might be a better way to use it, let me know and I can kind of go over with that as well in a part 2 if it's needed. But I'm Defeated Rescue, and I'll see you guys out in Bastion.